Let's go behind the mask.
Welcome back to another edition of the Behind the Mask podcast. This time we're going to have some behind the mask conversations. And before we even go any further into the topics, let me bring in my partner. Where you at, homie?
What's good, family?
Man, everything is good, bro. Everything is good. And we definitely looking forward to this 2020 NFL season.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of questions, a lot of uncertainty is out there. So just really like what's your take on it, man, from your post? I know you train a lot. You train around a lot of the guys from time to time. So what's your take on what should we expect and what shouldn't we expect?
Well,
level.
I think all the players are anxious to get back to some sense of normalcy, get back to their professions, what they love to do. As you said, down here in Atlanta with DSA training, I get in there, get a couple of workouts, and you see a lot of the professional athletes still getting after it. Not only NFL, though, NBA players were there before they reported to Orlando a few weeks ago. MLB players have been there as well. So guys are really staying in shape, getting ready. I think the main thing is from the top coming down, they still don't know what to expect once the NFL, that is, once they actually get to training camp. Reports came out over the weekend about some of the protocols that will be taking place. Each team will be individually different because they're in different states, and those states have different protocols when it comes to social distancing due to COVID-19. If there will even be fans in the stands, if non-essential employees can report to work. So there's so much uncertainty, but one thing I can tell you is the players are definitely ready, doing their part, staying in shape, getting ready for the season. Well,
I'll tell you this, the first thing that comes to mind is how are you going to make sure you take the necessary precaution, the precautionary measures when it comes to team, the NFL, making sure that the livelihood and safety of the players and all of the employees are okay. And so, I read an article over the weekend and it had some great points in it. One of the things that was going to be required was, one, all players and staff must wear a face mask inside of the facility, although players are not required to wear a mask during workouts. And so when you look at that just from an instance, like right off top, I would like to at least think at that point in moment, that's when you're most susceptible.
Right.
Obviously, when you don't have your mask, but if you're working out, you think about sweat and all of that stuff. Anyway, we'll come back to it. Saunas, one of the things that I used to love to do, get into a sauna, get into a steam room. They will not even be open just in case that it's so easily you can transfer germs and all of that stuff in there. And then the last thing is I thought about, all right, so as far as teams, you take the precautionary measures. The reality of it is, just like in society, you do a lot, you try to stay away social distancing, but something comes inside of your house or into your body, COVID-19, now you have the opportunity to infect everybody else around you. And I was like, what is that protocol? What exactly does it look like? So teams now must have a designated area to isolate any team employee or player, anybody, period, that are showing symptoms, and then plan for a testing again to make sure. So I like the idea of double testing, but I also love the idea of being able to say, before you come back, we understand that there have been some fake positive tests. We understand that's going on. So we're going to make you take 2 tests, and both of those tests have to come back negative. Now, in between time, they are instructed to stay away from the facility for 10 days consistently from the actual day that they take the test. A lot of guys could come in this locker room being asymptomatic. We already know that. And so I think when you look at that from the big picture, I'm concerned for the guys. But this is, on the flip side, this is the only thing this is what I have faith in. This is why I have faith. When you look at the NFL, when they look at bringing or implementing anything in, whether or not if it's from marketing, from a consumer standpoint, or just internally dealing with the players, they don't look at items or things that they bring a part of the game as a cost. They look at everything that they spend as an investment into what they do because they know at the end of the day it's going to grow the bigger piece of the pie that you and I, meaning the players and the owners, will have that share to be able to get. And so when I say that, this is the thing that brings me confidence of hoping that they will get it right. You look at the NBA, you look at Major League Soccer, you look at Major League Baseball. All of these guys now are starting to get back into form. We look at NBA, you look at some of these college schools right now, they even had a lot of their guys working out on campus, and they've caught COVID-19. So my point I'm saying is this. They had the opportunity to sit back and say, okay, I like what the NBA did, but I saw it didn't work here. I saw what the collegiate football did, but it didn't work here. So now they had an opportunity to take everything that they saw what worked, everything that they saw that did not work, implement it, and be willing to change accordingly depending on how their employees are doing. That's the only positive that I see that will help us be able to get football, which we are all hoping for the year 2022.
Yeah, I feel you. The thing where I'm gonna push back a little bit though, you got to think. So all these other sports that you mentioned, right? The max you may have is what, 15, 20 players on a squad. Not including the executives upstairs, not including all the coaches. But an NFL team, you got 53 players during the regular season. Training camp, we used to start training camp with 90-something players. Obviously, the league this year is saying that they're going to have fewer players that'll be on a roster entering into training camp. But still, you got 70, 80 people just from a safety standpoint on the field having a 2 deep. You know what I'm saying? You need like, 44 players at least, not even including special teams. At a minimum. So now you have 44 individuals, right? You know how that locker room is, bro. If anybody has a cold, a stomach bug, the flu, a sneeze attack, like whatever it might be, that thing transmits through the locker room like this. Hell, spreading rumors. You tell a rumor in the locker room, it goes all the way around the damn locker room. So you mean to tell me if somebody comes in there with COVID-19 and you know, not to make light of the situation, but you mean to tell me that these protocols are already in place that another player won't get it? And yeah, granted, some of the players that are going back to college and the NBA have been asymptomatic, but again, cases are going up. Flu season is coming back when football is played during the fall and you know, going into the winter. So if the league, the hierarchy, the leadership doesn't have a plan set and training camp is starting in a couple of weeks here, how are these players expected to go out there and give it their all when they're thinking about their families too, not just going out there, you know, making a living, but you got to go into the locker room. You might get this and come back to your family and your mother, your grandmother, or somebody older that may live with you or be around you or something like that. It's so much uncertainty. And I want the game to come back too, but until that protocol is in place and they have a descript plan of attack on how to handle this, I'm like, what are we doing? They're already talking about pushing the preseason back a little bit, but what are we doing before the players can say, you know what? All right, I feel comfortable enough to know that when I go into this locker room, I'm safe. My health and my family's health is safe. They still don't have that yet.
Yeah, they don't have it. And I get what you're saying. But you said something to make me think about, okay, what guys are at risk? And obviously, when you go behind these meetings, especially as an executive of a team, you talk about, okay, who is going to be at risk? And I know for me, if I'm an executive of a team, I'm going to talk about what percentage of my team is married. That means I know you can't be out here just going out in public and just being reckless with your time, your personal time, that's going to jeopardize everybody and put everybody at risk inside of the locker room. So I would look at that. But then also you got to look at certain guys who just have big personalities and that's who they are. They love to go out, maybe go to a bar, have a drink, or they just want to be around somebody. So when you talk about the risk factor, that's something that you definitely have to take into account as far as organizing and strategizing, making sure that, you know what, everybody, I think Dr. Fauci said it best. He was like, you know, we just have to learn how to coexist with COVID-19 at this point, because we've been waiting for a vaccination, and we knew even when it first happened, everybody was saying most times they don't usually come out with a vaccination until a year and a half. And so now we haven't even, we just now going on 6 months, maybe coming up on 6 months. So we still definitely have a way to go. But I think about those guys who go out, who get contracted in the event that they do get to contracted. That's what you have to worry about.
Yeah.
Because what is that protocol going to look like when they go inside of the locker room and I have that conversation with you. I find out we have a conversation at 10 a.m. 3 p.m. we getting ready to hit the field. Hey, where two at? Man, and two got that COVID, bro. He gone already.
And we was just kicking it last night. So
now I'm thinking, God damn, now he don't got me infected.
You know what I'm saying? It's so many uncertainties, man. And then on top of that, what I read was once they do get contracted, they can't come back for 10 days to the facility. I think that's what you said, right?
Yeah.
So imagine if we kick it Friday, right? Thursday or Friday, whatever. Then Saturday we go to the walkthrough. Do our walkthrough at 12 o'clock on Saturday. I don't make the walkthrough because I'm still in the training room jammed up. And we were kicking it, but then Sunday before the game, you come to the game 10 days. So that means you missed that week of a game, and then you're going to miss the next week too. So we 2-star players, 2 starters, like it's just there's no answer. And that's my thing. If there's no answer, how do I feel comfortable going into that locker room knowing that and risking it? You know what I'm saying? And again, I posted on social media the other day. I'm like, so we willing to risk, and this is more so for college football, but we're willing to risk our health for dollars and entertainment. That's the bottom line. At this point, everybody wants to get back to their sense of normalcy. I get it. But for the ownership, the team ownership, the executives, is about dollars. We know that. And for the fans, it's about entertainment. But for the players, it's also about health. So I think we just sit in a point in this society where we're like, what's more important? Our health, our family's health, or dollar signs and entertainment? And that's a hard question that people really need to ask themselves.
Well, I tell you this, in the event somebody is contracted, the NFL has contracted with IQVIA. It's a third-party firm that analyzes in league injury data. And so what they've done, they've been able to put a device, if there's fear of in-game exposure, say if somebody's they contracted it, the NFL will make sure and use a radio frequency identification tracking device that's embedded in every player's shoulder pads to determine what player or whoever player was in that 6 feet area of that person who contracted COVID. Anyone who engages in team activities will be required to wear a Connexon proximity recording tracking device. We talked about that a few seconds ago on the shoulder pads, which would allow contact tracers to find the close contacts of someone who tested positive. I said a whole lot of legal jargon what to do. I personally, me as a player, I'm just telling you, I think that I'm like, God damn.
It's too much, man.
It's too much, man. It's not even necessarily a rhyme or reason, but it's like the problem is just you're asymptomatic. Right. And as much as you want to procure a strategy, as much as you want to be ahead of everything, when you're asymptomatic, you just don't know unless you're getting tested. And then another thing that's a good point to bring up also as well, which I'm pretty sure, put it this way, you and I know this best. If you're working with an organization that brings in billions of dollars, you don't have to worry about a shortage of a test. Yeah. And especially getting the results back instantly versus waiting 5 to 10 days. That's something now that even though testing has opened up for everybody in the rest of society, but when you go get tested, you have to wait 5 to 10 days, make 10 at the latest to get your results back. And so by that time period, when you look at them, if they find that out, they won't have to go through that, especially what they're trying to keep the entertainment part on the road, man. But I personally don't like that part after you contracted it, or if they think you have contracted it, right, what the protocol is moving forward, which I'm sure they're going to release some more things coming up.
But here's the thing. In football, it's damn near like rugby, bro. Just for the people that don't know offensive linemen, there is no 6 foot social distancing. We're right next to each other. We have 1.5 foot splits. That means I can put my right hand out my left hand out, and I'm able to touch the lineman next to me, right? My teammate. Defensive linemen are right there, like maybe 2 feet in front of you. So as soon as the ball is snapped, you're talking about 55 to 70 times a day. My face mask or your face mask or me. Ain't no social distancing. Spikes, if you sack a quarterback, bro, you get by me, you sack a quarterback, you getting up celebrating. And I've seen you celebrate before, you spitting everywhere, kicking everywhere, doing all of this stuff, man. There's no social distancing, man. So you mean to tell me if somebody, we find out throughout the course of a game or after a game, what have you, that somebody has unfortunately contracted COVID, you're going to follow each person? You talking about all 22 people on the field at a time. It's a rugby scrum. Like, you know how it is at the bottom of the piles.
Yeah.
It's a fumble, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people diving on the ball. People, y'all see it. Like, I just don't see how that is possible. What we know right now. Now, a couple of weeks, months down the line, should something drastically change, which I think is highly improbable. Cool, but I don't see it. And honestly, if I'm a player right now, and if I'm a player, let's say that a Pat Mahomes or somebody that's just got, broke the bank, I'm not in no hurry really to get back out there without knowing what's going on. If I'm a French player, like a rookie that, 5th, 6th round free agent from last year that hasn't really broke the bank, secured the bag, so to speak, and now I'm going into the next season thinking, all right, how am I going to get this next $600,000, $700,000, $800,000?
Right.
I might be more thinking like, damn, I really need to get back to work to start padding this bank account because it's been dwindling this whole offseason. Those are the things that, the fans may not know. But at the end of the day, your health has to matter. So they talking about pushing it back, bro. I'm cool. It's just at this point in my life, on the other side, it's a game to me. So I'm just like, I'm all right not watching it. So,
but you still got to talk about that game, Tutan.
That's facts. I'm with you.
Let's go behind the mask on this. Let's say training camp opens.
Mm-hmm.
We already know the NFL and NFLPA have not agreed on the amount of games that they're going to play. The NFL wants to play 2 games. The NFLPA, which represents the body of the players, are saying, no, we're not agreeing to anything right now. The NFL is saying, well, you should agree to it because this is the way that we can kind of go through the protocol and just kind of fix certain things before we actually play week 1, which is going to benefit all of us. The players are like, because we don't have any true or the lack of leadership when it comes to something definite, to your point that you made earlier, as far as protocols and understanding what's going on, I'm not in a hurry to go out there for those 2 extra games, knowing that I'm not getting paid for those games, my really true worth compared to when season 1 starts. That's when you're paying my salary. So my question to you is this. What does it look like inside of the locker room now when you're in there, you're having great conversations and everything? They say, hey, no social distance. Well, you got to have social distancing. Some of the things that have came up that I also read in that article, some of the showers will be purposely turned off, or probably shower heads will be taken off just so that only X amount of guys can walk in the shower. Mm-hmm. All the guys can't eat at a certain time. So it's almost like you just have to wait. And I guess what I'm saying is being impatient more than everything. Everything that we do on a consistent day-to-day basis in the NFL is clockwork. Boom. Yeah. It's going. Now these guys won't even be at the privilege to be able to have that type of freedom. Do you think that's going to clog anything up when it comes to like guys just understanding like, look, we have to do this for the greater of the good?
I think ultimately the coaches, the staff, the leadership of each individual team, I think they'll figure it out, because one of the best things, to your point, is that creating habits when you talk about football. Each week is the same thing in the same order. So subconsciously, you're like, I know what to expect on Monday. I know Tuesdays is off treatment. I know Wednesday is install. Thursday is red zone. Friday is goal line short. You know everything, and becomes almost monotonous. So athletes are creatures of habit. So if that starts to seep in and it's not consistent, it may be an issue. But I do believe that the league has that down to where they'll have the same. If the linebackers have to lift weights at this time and take meetings at this time, et cetera, it'll be consistent throughout the week as opposed to just random throughout the week, throwing off that mindset. So I think they'll have that down pat. I think what remains to be seen again is that outlier when one player actually, unfortunately, contracts COVID and is no longer asymptomatic and has to quarantine. I think those are the things that we still don't know, because in every article we've read, anything we talked about, nobody has the answer. We've never brought that up. You know what I mean? Like how in a team meeting, they're talking about scaling down the team meeting rooms to maybe 20 people. How? It's not a team meeting. Like, how you going to do that? You know what I'm saying?
You can go virtual.
You can go virtual. All right, touche. I got you. They're gonna have to adjust. They're gonna have to adjust.
That's some bullshit.
It is. They're gonna have to adjust on the fly. You know what I mean? And some of the things. One of the things I don't particularly care for is you're talking about. Okay, we're gonna have the players and the coaches have to wear masks throughout the facility, but when you lift weights, you don't. You have to wear a mask on the sidelines, but if you're playing, you don't. It's like, when does it stop from being you have to wear masks and be safe to, for this part of time you don't? Like, it just doesn't make sense. But it's not consistent. It's
not consistent, but it's the new normal. All right, let me pitch this to you though. And this is the first time. This is something that a lot of people don't really understand, and it really was mind-baffling to me. This is the first time that they're coming together, and they're really going to take an approach that as soon as they get there, it will take probably 10 to 14 days for them to actually be on the field and do anything from a competitive standpoint as far as team drills. And so with that being said, they're not going to do any actual football work, knowing in the past, pre-COVID, what you could do, as soon as you get there, one day to take the physical, the next day you out on the field. You get it. Yep. And so my thing is, how much of a premium does it puts on the players now to be doing all of the little things, getting used to getting in and out of your breaks as a wide receiver, getting in and out of your cuts as a defensive back, understanding tendencies from the linebacker perspective of, is it a run or is it pass? I got to understand my footwork needs to be right. Same thing from an offensive lineman. What premium does it puts on the player now to come into training camp in shape? Because to what it's sounding like, you still won't be able to get in shape. And they expect for you, they're expecting playing preseason games if an agreement is made at the end of August. And we all know what happens in September. It's showtime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and to your point, you have to. And it's a difference from being in shape as an athlete that's just training and being in football shape. Because we throw them pads on them, extra 20, 15 pounds of pads, and then you're taking
back getting tight.
You know what I'm saying? You're taking a beating.
I'm in shape right now, but I ain't in football shape.
Yeah, in football shape, because then, you're going against 300-pound guys, again, 40, 50 times a day practice, and then another 50 to 70 times during the game. So it's like the dynamic is way different being in football shape. And now you're pushing that back an extra 2 to 3 weeks. I think we're going to see a lot more injuries because you don't have time to actually go through the course and get your body right, get used to that physical pounding, and then be able to recover and get back on the field. So to your point, if we're talking the end of August for preseason games, now guys get banged up. They out half of the first quarter of the season. So, I want to see football. Trust me, I want to see football. But even Richard Sherman is like, it just doesn't make sense. The league talking about what? No, no post game celebration, no post game interaction. If I see you and I know you and I were best friends in college, we come out at the field at the end of the game. I'm gonna have to salute you from across there. I can't dap you up, see how mom's is doing. It's weird, but we could play the whole game and go at it. It's hypocritical. It's like,
well, I mean, that goes back to the point that he said. Richard Sherman said he called the NFL out just because of hypocrisy. And he just talked about exchanging jersey. It was a policy that was put out just saying that, well, if you're not playing, you really can't be interacting with each other within 6 feet after the game. So that means you can't exchange jerseys, So, Richard Sherman, in his words, he was like, this is a perfect example of the NFL thinking in a nutshell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they got to do what they got to do. I feel it. It's like you want us to go out there and we sweating on each other and all of that, but I can't get my homie jersey. So yeah, it's definitely jacked up, bro.
Yeah, and then what's the reasoning behind it? You know what I'm saying? That's what if you convince me with your reasoning and make it make sense, cool. But if it's just pulling straws out of a hat, feathers out of the air, it's not making sense. Because damn it, if you my dog and you and Los, y'all played against each other in college, and now y'all on the field and y'all both went to war. At the end of the game, y'all want y'all jerseys. It is what it is. So and not to say that again, the health is the most important thing. So if you come to me and say, you know what, for health reasons, make it make sense. That's it. Make it make sense. But just to celebrate, not celebration, but communication after the game and jerseys, like give me more. Particularly with training camp a few weeks away, I need more to feel comfortable, and I think a lot of players are feeling that way.
Yeah, and I know we make it a point to keep that engagement real tight. Yeah. We got a question for one of the fans, and somebody sent in after they test initially when they go into camp. The test should positively identify people who are currently asymptomatic and have the virus. Absolutely, it will. But this is kind of like that loaded statement that I kind of gave you earlier. You would like to think most married guys don't take their ass home to their old lady. These single guys out here are still single.
Turn up.
So, like, listen, they in their mind, you have to like particularly just say, look, when I tell you to go home and don't be around people, it doesn't mean I just went to this lounge and the capacity of the lounge is 350 people, but only 15 people was in there. No, don't take your ass in that lounge. If you got you a main piece, you tell them to come see you and you keep track of her. That way you ain't coming into the locker room infecting everybody else. You know what I mean? So, like, to answer that question from the fan perspective, man, we got to keep y'all caught up on the real talk.
Listen, it sounds good. It sounds so good.
Sounds good.
But even a married cat, we go kick it, whatever, after practice or something. You might just go get lunch or dinner.
Yeah. You used to go grab a beer or something.
O-line used to go out every Friday, I think, and we would grab lunch after work. You know what I'm saying? The quarterbacks take the running backs out. So all of this is stopping. You mean to tell me the single guys, to your point, we got, 53 guys, 48 on the team, 8 on practice squad or something like that, or whatever it is, 45 and 8. So you mean to tell me every last one of them is going straight home and not doing nothing? Ain't no pit stops, ain't no detours, ain't no roadblocks? Yeah, all right. You believe that if you want to, man. That's not the reality. Everybody talk about getting back to a sense of normalcy. When them checks start, they gonna go right back to being normal. And you and I know it, man.
You just got to make sure that pit stop is clean.
All right, good luck with that. What you gonna do? Give them the transmitter to see if they done been around people that might have contracted it?
Yeah, them shoulder pads on stay at the crib. Yeah, you take that. Hey, that's what they need to do.
They need to meet a girl at the bar and say, "Oh, put this on real quick. Let me see if put the shoulder pads on real quick."
Pick your top 3 and give them a tip. That's what you do.
Oh man.
Nah, man. But hey, bro. Hey, it's always a pleasure. I would be remiss if we didn't acknowledge what breaking news for the Washington Redskins. They finally decided to change their logo and the name of the team. So, I just kind of followed that story over the weekend and just seeing a lot of Native Indians showing up in support, saying, yeah, we want it taken down. We've been screaming for that. Yeah. And I looked at the history of it and found out they've been using that nickname since 1933. So it goes back, like way back. So I'm pretty sure after they change it, they're probably taking bids right now, to see, which would be the highest bidder for the new name. But if it feels good to them, it feels good to me. And I appreciate the empathy side of it.
Absolutely.
It's not the end result. It's just the beginning. So
absolutely. It's not over.
Yeah, it's definitely not over, but definitely we had to point out that, man. But it's always good catching up with you, my boy, on these BTM conversations.
Absolutely. Are you looking forward to the season? You looking forward to catching some football, man? Do you think it's going to be football? Because I didn't ask you that.
Well, you know what I am. I'm looking forward to it because it's only a few things I watch on TV anyway.
That's right.
CNN, I'm on Watch Sports, and every now and then I watch a movie. So, with those three things, that's how I feel my gap, man. And like that would hurt me like bad.
Think about it.
Oh.
Think about it. You every year for the past 5 years or so, you go to London for a couple of months and you actually broadcast over in London. You broadcast the football games when they come over there. Do you even know what your fall is gonna look like this year?
I really don't. And it's almost like play it by ear. We have to coexist. And one of the things that I truly enjoy doing, going to London, being one of the lead analysts over there, especially when all of the American teams come there to play. And so I enjoy that. And I've been doing it now for 3 years. So we still wait. Like that's the tough part. And as far as I know, the numbers have went up so much in the U.S., every other country pre-COVID, the U.S. is a destination that you must come and see. Now, post-COVID, or while we're going through COVID, a lot of these countries have not even opened up travel access from people coming from the U.S. going to their countries. Right. So that's just to give you a little perspective. So only time will tell. But the best thing about it, as long as we have technology, I'll be able to keep giving out those behind the mask words, bro.
For sure.
Right on. All right, G. Well, we about to head up out of here, man. One love.
Peace.